suppose if the organization wants to raise the capital in the firm, so what they are going to do, so they will use the amount what is there with them. Along with that, they'll issue shares to the public. If it is infrastructure projects, then only they can issue debentures for more than 10 years, but it should not cross 30 years. Irredeemable debentures, there is no specified date is mentioned at all. So here the debenture holders will get their payment only in case of liquidation of the company. Hello everyone, I am Harshita, lecturer, Department of Commerce, Vidhyaashram PU College, the Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. My dear students, today we shall discuss the chapter 2 from your part B, that is issue and redemption of debentures. So let us see what we are going to discuss today and how would be your question paper pattern. So what are the types of questions they have asked in your final exam, that is from this chapter. So let us see about the introduction and meaning of debentures. So in your previous chapter, you have learnt about shares. So if a businessman, suppose if the organization wants to raise the capital in the firm, so what they are going to do, so they will use the amount what is there with them. Along with that, they'll issue shares to the public. In the same way, so they can't raise their capital by just issuing shares as well as whatever the amount what is there with them. So along with that, they can issue debentures and raise the capital for the firm. So here your introduction is like this. In addition to raising the capital by issue of shares, a company requiring funds on long-term basis may borrow money by issue of debentures. So how the organization is going to raise? So suppose if the organization wants huge amount of money, so first they'll use whatever which is there with them. Along with that, they'll issue shares. So after issuing shares, if they require further more amount, then they go for issuing of debentures. So if the organization wants amount on long-term basis, then they go for issuing of debentures to the public. So a debenture issued by a company usually is in the form of certificate given under the seal of the company. So how the debentures will be issued? So it is just like borrowing the loan. So how a businessman borrows a loan from the financial institution, in the same way, this debenture is like a certificate which is issued to the public. So by issuing that certificate, so it gets the amount back to the business. So the organization issues the debenture. So it's like a certificate which is given to the public, and public will buy those debentures and they become the debenture holders. Now, how the company is going to give that amount back? So whenever they earn the profit, they'll give the amount back along with the interest. So what is the return for the debenture holders? Interest will be the return for the debenture holders. So one who holds the debentures are called as what? Debenture holders, and they get interest in return for their investment what is made in case of company, that is in the form of debentures. Thus, a debenture is a written acknowledgement of a debt taken by a company, as these are issued under the seal of the company. So how the debentures will be issued, or what is debentures? Debenture is nothing but acknowledgement of debt. So how the debt is being borrowed from the outsiders, in the same way a debenture is like a certificate which is given to the public, where the public will buy those debenture and they become the debenture holders. So they will pay the amount to the company, for which when the company earns profit, they have to return that amount back along with the interest. So what is debenture? It is a written acknowledgement of debt taken by the company, as these are issued under the seal of the company. A debenture certificate contains the terms of the repayment of the principal sum at a specified rate and the terms of payment of interest at the fixed percentage. So I have told you, so they will give the amount. So the debenture holders buy the debentures and give the amount to the company, and they become the debenture holders. So that amount, whatever paid by the debenture holders to the company, are called as what? Principal amount. So whether the debenture holders will give the amount simply of cost? No, they have to pay the interest. Here the company have to pay the interest for taking the amount from the debenture holders. So here It is called as principal amount at a specified date. So, the principal amount will be given on a specified date. So, for which the company has to give the certain percentage of interest for the debentures. So, how the interest will be mentioned in the debentures? For example, if it is 8% debenture. So, if it is 8% debenture, then this 8% is what? That is interest rate. So, in the same way, it might be 9% debentures or it may be 12% debentures. So, this percentage what they mention in front of the debenture indicates that it is the interest rate. Okay. So, according to section 2 subsection 30 of the Companies Act 2013, debenture includes debenture stock, bonds and any other securities of the company whether constituting charge on the asset of the company or not. Now, how the debentures will be issued? There are various types of debentures which you are going to learn later. So, how the debentures will be issued? Based on the security. So, there will be a security which will be in the form of assets. So, this is about your debentures, introduction on debentures. Now, coming to the characteristics of debentures. So, once again we shall recall the meaning of debenture. So, what do I mean by debenture? It is a written acknowledgement of debt. So, it is like a debt which is being given to the company. By whom? By the debenture holders. So, when does the public becomes the debenture holder? When they purchase the debentures of the company. Now, let us see what are the characteristics of debentures. So, the first one is a debenture is issued by a company in the form of a certificate which is written acknowledgement of debt taken by the company. So, I have already told you. So, it is what? It is a written acknowledgement of debt given by the company to the public. Public take that written acknowledgement and gives the amount to the company, where the company whenever it earns profit, so or whenever the specified date has been mentioned, so the company has to give that amount back to the debenture holders along with the interest specified with the debentures. So, it may be 12% debentures where 12% will be the interest on debenture. Next, second characteristic is a debenture is issued under the seal of the company. So, this we have already discussed. So, how the debenture will be issued? Under the seal of the company. And the next one is it contains a contract for repayment of principal sum at a specified date. So, for example, if the debenture are issued for 2 years, so a specified date will be mentioned where the repayment of principal amount has to be made by the company to the debenture holders. So, how it contains a contract? So, it's like a contract where the repayment period or the repayment date will be mentioned specifically. And the fourth one is, as per Companies Act 2013, no company is allowed to issue debentures having a maturity date of more than 10 years from the date of issue. So, here they have clearly mentioned, so as per Companies Act 2013, no company can issue debentures where the maturity period is more than 10 years. So, it should be within 10 years. Of course, debentures are issued on long-term basis, but it should be within 10 years. However, a company engaged in infrastructure projects can issue debenture for more than 10 years but not exceeding 30 years. Now, here if it is infrastructure projects, then only they can issue debentures for more than 10 years, but it should not cross 30 years. Other than that, no other company can issue debentures for more than 10 years. So, this would be the fourth characteristics of debentures. Now, coming to the fifth one, usually the debentures are issued with a specified rate of interest. So, I have told you, so along with the principal amount, the company has to give certain percentage of interest to the debenture holders. So, the return for debenture holder is what? That is interest. So, usually the debenture should contain a specified rate of interest. So, I have told you how they are going to mention the interest in the debenture. So, it is 12% debentures, then 12% is what? This is interest. Or 10% debentures or 15% debentures. So, whatever they mention in terms of percentage, that indicates what? Interest rate on debenture, which is called as what? Coupon rate. So, the interest rate, what they have mentioned, it is also called as what? Coupon rate. A debenture holder receives interest on his debentures at his specified rate as mentioned in the certificate. Payment of interest is made normally after every 6 months. So how the interest will be payable? So I have told you, along with the principal amount, they have to pay interest on a regular basis. So normally the interest will be paid for every 6 months, whether the company makes profit or not. So this is understood that, so when the debenture are issued to the public, so a specified rate of interest will be mentioned with the debentures, which means that for every 6 months they have to pay that percentage rate of interest. So that is about your debenture and how they are going to make the payment of interest for every 6 months. And the next one is, a debenture is generally secured by the charge on the assets of the company. So now, how the company will issue debentures to the public? Whether the public is blind to give the amount simply free of cost to the company? No. So, when the company issues debentures and when the public gives the amount, so there should be a security on debentures. So, whatever the amount which is given by the public, so they should also have a security. Suppose if the company does not pay the amount back to the public, then what happens? It's a loss for the public, correct? So, for that reason, they have to charge a fixed asset. So, they have to keep a fixed asset as security. So, a debenture is generally secured by the charge on the assets of the company. So, for example, if the company can give land as a security for the public, so for the debenture holders, or its machinery or its furniture, so a fixed asset will be given as a security for debentures. This means that if the company is unable to repay the debenture as per the terms of issue, the debenture holders can move to the court and release their money by getting the assets of the company sold. Suppose if the company is not in a position or not in a condition to repay the debenture holders, then debenture holder has a right to file the case and get that fixed asset which act as a security. And the next feature is that, or the characteristics, funds raised by the issue of debentures are of long-term nature and usually the debentures are repaid after a longer period. So I have already told you, when the company wants to raise fund on long-term basis, then they go for issue of debentures. As I've told you, it should be less than 10 years. So suppose if it is an infrastructure project, then they can issue debentures for more than 10 years, but it should not exceed 30 years, such as 7 years. So the long-term basis, so the issue of debentures for long-term basis can be 7 years, 10 years or 12 years. As such, the loan issued by the debenture is also called as what? Loan capital. So however, they are going to raise their capital by issue of debentures is also called as what? Loan capital. So these are the few characteristics of debentures. Now coming to the next one, types of debentures. So this is not that important, but still for the knowledge point of view, you can go through what are the types of debentures, where they might ask you 1 mark question also. And here also you can expect a 1 mark question. So they'll give a question. So 12% debentures. So for example, they'll give you 12% debentures. Then what does this 12% mean? So they might ask you for 1 mark. So what does this 12% mean? This is interest. That is interest on debenture. So your answer will be interest. And one more question they might ask you for 1 mark. Debenture holders are dash of the company. So whether they are the owners, shareholders are owners of the company, correct? But what does debenture holders? They are the creditors of the company. So debenture holders are creditors of the company. So they might ask you for 1 marks. So debenture holders are dash of the company. They are the creditors of the company. But what about shareholders? They are the owners of the company. Okay. So like this 1 mark question they might ask you in between. Then what is debenture? So it is a written acknowledgement of debt which is issued by the company to the public to buy the debentures. Correct? Now moving on to the next topic, that is types of debentures. So let us see the first type of debentures from the security point of view. So security point of view in the sense what? So I have told you the debenture will be issued to the public. So now what security will be given by the company? Suppose if the company does not repay the principal amount to the debenture holders, then what act as a security? So based on security, so let us see what are the divisions or what are the types of debentures. So the first one is secured or mortgage debentures. So let us see what it is. These debentures are those which are secured either on the particular assets of the company. So I have told you, so always the fixed assets of the company act as a security. Suppose if the company is not in a position to repay the amount to the debenture holders, then that particular assets can be taken over by the debenture holders. So here these debentures are those which are secured either on the particular assets of the company, called as what? Fixed charge on all the assets of the company, in general called floating charge. So what do you mean by that? So if the security is given on a particular fixed asset, then it is called as what? Fixed charge on debentures. Then what is floating charge? Floating charge, there will be no fixed asset will be given as a security. Any asset can be taken over by the debenture holders if the company does not repay the amount. So hope you are clear about fixed charge as well as floating charge. Under fixed charge, a particular asset will be fixed. Suppose if the company does not repay the amount, then the debenture holder can take over a fixed asset of the company. A fixed asset, like suppose if the debenture holder tells that land is the security for his debentures, then if the company does not pay, then debenture holder can take the land of the company. So like that. Floating charge in the sense what? It is not on a particular fixed asset, but any assets can be taken over by the debenture holder. That is floating charge. So this is about your secured or mortgage debentures. And the second one is unsecured or naked debentures. So these debentures are those which are not given any security. So here security is not given at all to the debenture holders. So if the company does not pay the debenture holders, then the debenture holders don't have any security to take over the, or don't have any security to take over the assets of the company. So don't have any right to take over the assets of the company. So the holders of such debentures are treated as unsecured creditors at the time of liquidation of the company. So they are treated as what? Unsecured creditors during the liquidation of the company. So during the winding up of the company, so these types of debenture holders are treated as what? Unsecured creditors, because they are not secured by any of the assets of the company. So these are from the security point of view. Now coming to the second type, from redemption point of view. So how the debentures are going to be redeemed. So there are two ways. One is issue of debentures. Issue in the sense they are going to issue the debentures and get the amount from the debenture holders. Redemption in the sense what? How they are going to make the payment to the debenture holders. So they have already taken the amount from the debenture holders. Now how they are going to return that amount back. So based on that, let us see what are the types of debentures. So the first one is redeemable debentures. So let us see what it is. These are debentures which will be repaid by the company either in lump sum at the end of a specified period or by installments during the lifetime of the company. Redeemable debentures in the sense what? So here the company is going to repayment or give the amount back to the debenture holders. So it can be either in lump sum or in the form of installments, but they are going to give that amount back to the debenture holders. And the next type is irredeemable or perpetual debentures. So, irredeemable debentures are those debentures which are not repayable by the company during its lifetime. These debentures are repayable only at the time of liquidation of the company. So, here in the redeemable debentures, there will be a specified period given to the debenture holders where the repayment will be made by the company. For example, if the debenture is taken for 6 years, so after the 6 years, the company will give the amount back to the debenture holders. That is redeemable. Irredeemable debentures, there is no specified date is mentioned at all. So here the debenture holders will get their payment only in case of liquidation of the company. So this is about the two types based on redeemable or how the debentures are going to be redeemed. So the first type is redeemable debentures, other one is irredeemable debentures. Now coming to the third type, from the records point of view. So how they have maintained the record, based on that, how the debentures are being classified. So the first one is registered debentures. So, names and address of the holders of such debentures are recorded in the register of the company called as Register of Debenture Holders. So, here what is register debentures? So, the company have maintained a proper register where they have mentioned the name of the debenture holders, address of the debenture holders, what is the quantity of debenture issued to that debenture holders, when would be the repayment period. All these are mentioned in that register of debenture holders. So, these type of debenture are called as what? Registered debentures. Such debentures are not freely transferable. The transfer of such debentures require the execution of proper transfer deed. Now, this registered debentures which is being mentioned in the register of debentures of the company, so they can't transfer the debenture from one person to another person. So, in the sense the debentures are not freely transferable from one person to another person under registered debentures, because it is specifically mentioned in the register all the name and address of the debenture holders. So, what is the quantity of debenture issued, what is the price of debentures. So, all these are mentioned in the register of the company, so it cannot be freely transferable. So, if they want to transfer the debentures, then they have to contact the company and do necessary whatever the documents has to be submitted. So, all that things has to be done, then only they can transfer the debentures. So, this is the registered debentures. And the next one is bearer debentures. Name and addresses of the holders of such debentures are not recorded in the company, and these debentures are transferable by mere delivery. So, here the name and address of debenture holders are not mentioned in the register of the company. So, they can easily transferable from one person to another person by mere delivery. Now, you might get a question, how the interest will be paid to that in these types of debentures. So, interest will be paid. For that reason, under every debenture, so in every debentures, a small coupon will be included in that, which indicates the rate of interest. So, who has that coupon gets the interest on debentures. So, because the debenture will be keep on transferable from one person to another, who is holding that coupon of that particular debenture gets the interest from the company under bearer debentures. So, payment of principal and interest is made to the bearers of such debentures. So, I have told you, one who holds that coupon gets the rate of interest on that particular debentures from the company. Coupons are attached with these debentures and the interest is paid to such person who produce the coupons in the specified bank. So, these are the types of debentures based on the records maintained by the company. So, the one is registered debentures where the name and address, everything, the details of the debenture holders will be mentioned in the register of the company, and so it cannot be freely transferable. Suppose if they want to transfer, then they again have to contact the company regarding the transferability. But under bearer debentures, so these are the debenture holders where they can easily transfer by mere delivery. One who holds the coupon gets the rate of interest from the company from the specified bank. So, this is about the types of debenture based on records point of view. Now, coming to the next type on the basis of convertibility. So, how the debentures, whether the debentures can be converted into shares. So, suppose if the debenture holders is not satisfied with the debenture what he is holding, so whether he is eligible to convert them into shares or not. So, based on convertibility, so the debentures are classified into two types, convertible debentures and non-convertible debentures. Coming to convertible debentures, all those debentures which are convertible into equity shares or other types of security at the stated rate of exchange, either at the option of the debenture holders or at the option of the company after a specified rate. So, here what is convertible debentures? Suppose, so if they are not interested with the debentures what they are holding, so they can convert into other type of equity shares or any other security. So, based on the interest of the debenture holders or based on the information given by the company or based on the option of the company. So, they can convert. So, here convertible debenture itself is classified into two types. So, the first one is partly convertible debentures and fully convertible debentures. Now, what is this partly convertible debentures? As the word itself tells, only a part of the amount of debentures is convertible. So, into shares, such debentures are called as what? Partly convertible debentures. So, only a part of the debentures can be converted into shares. So they are known as what? Partly convertible debentures. Now, what is fully convertible debentures? When the full amount of debentures is converted into shares or any other types of securities. So they are termed as what? Fully convertible debentures. So when the full amount of debentures is convertible into shares, such debentures are called as what? Fully convertible debentures. So hope you are clear with convertible debentures, where we are having two types, fully convertible and partly convertible. Under fully convertible, full amount of debentures can be converted into shares or any other types of securities. But under partly convertible debentures, only a part of the amount of the debentures can be convertible. Now coming to the second type, non-convertible debentures. So based on convertibility, we have two types, convertible debentures and non-convertible. So let us see what is this non-convertible. As the word itself tells us, all those debentures which are not convertible into equity shares or any other types of securities, they are termed as what? Non-convertible debentures. Now coming to the fifth type, from the priority point of view. So we have two types, first and second. So from the priority point of view, first, the two types of debentures are first as well as second. Now what is this first? So here, so how the repayment period will be or repayment is made. So from the first priority point of view, so here the debenture holders are paid first. So these types of debentures are, so when the organization earns profit, so this kind of debentures are paid first. After paying, then the remaining debenture holders are paid. So they are termed as what? First priority based debenture holders. Second type is second priority based debenture holders. So after the payment made to first priority debenture holders, then if the amount is left, then the second priority based debenture holders will be made the payment. So this is about the priority point of view. Now coming to the sixth type, from coupon rate point of view. So let us see from coupon rate of point of view. So how the debenture is being classified. So here the first one is specific rate and the second one is zero coupon rate. Now what is this specific rate? As I have already told you, in the debenture itself they will specify the rate of interest. For example, it is 6% debentures. So it is mentioned. Correct? Here it is, they have mentioned what is the rate of interest. 6% is the rate of interest of this debentures. In the same way, 12% debentures. 12% will be the rate of interest. They will be specifically mentioned what is the rate of interest under specific rate or this type of debentures. Now coming to zero coupon rate. So here these are issued at a discount but repayment is full. So it is also termed as what? Bond. So what is this zero coupon rate? Here the rate of interest will not be mentioned at all. So they'll just mention debentures but the rate of interest will not be mentioned at all under zero coupon rate. So now what is this zero coupon rate or why they don't mention the interest rate? While issuing itself to the debenture holders, they are issued at discount. So these types of debentures are issued at a discount and it is also called as what? Bond. Now what is the difference between bond and debentures? Under debentures, a specific rate of interest will be mentioned. But in case of bond, there is no specific rate of interest. So it is zero coupon rate. So it is called as what? Bond. Okay. So this is from the coupon point of view, we are having two types. One is specific rate of interest. Other one is zero coupon rate where the rate of interest will not be mentioned but they are issued at discount. So these types of debentures are issued at discount. So once they are going to repay that amount, so it includes all the interest also. So it will be issued in such a way that it includes interest also. That is your zero coupon rate debentures. Okay, so these are the types of debentures. Now coming to the next concept, distinction between shares and debentures. In our previous chapter, we have learnt about shares and here we have learnt few of the things relating to debentures. So let us see what are the main difference between shares and debentures. Okay, so coming to the first one, capital versus loan. Now which is called as capital? Let us see. A share is a part of the capital of the company. Therefore, shareholders are what? Owners of the companies. Here you have to remember the word. So I have told you they might ask you for 1 marks. Shareholders are dash of the company. So they are what? Owners of the company. And what is share? It is a part of share capital. So what is share? It is a part of share capital which is issued to the public. Okay, and they are called as what? Owners of the company. Then what about debentures? A debentures is a part of loan. So it is not a part of capital, it is a part of loan, and as such debenture holders are called as what? Creditors of the company. Here shareholders are called as owners of the company and debenture holders are called as what? Creditors of the company. Now coming to the second difference, dividend versus interest. So where do we get dividend as a rate of return? Under share, correct? So a shareholder gets dividend from the company as a return. So whatever the amount which is invested by the public in the form of shares, so they get rate of return in the form of dividend. But what does the debenture holders get in return? So a debenture holders get interest from the company. So clear about shares, what is the rate of interest or rate of return for shares? That is dividend. Rate of return for debentures is interest. And the next one is floating or fixed rate of dividend or interest. So dividend is paid only when there is profit. The rate of dividend may fluctuate from year to year depending upon the profit and decisions of the directors. So how the dividend will be paid? Dividend is not same. It depends upon the profitability of the company. If the company earns more profit, of course the shareholders gets more profit. If the company earns less profit, then the shareholders gets less profit. So the dividend keeps on fluctuating under shares. But what about in case of debentures? How would be the rate of interest? The rate of interest is fixed. So here the rate of interest is fixed with the debenture itself and it must be paid irrespective of the company making profit or not. So whether the company earns profit or not, but the debenture holder has to be paid fixed rate of interest. But in case of shares, dividend will be paid only when the company earns profit. So that is about your fluctuating or fixed rate of dividend or interest. Next one is voluntary or compulsory redemption. So let us see how the redemption happens in case of shares as well as debentures. So it is at the option of the company to return the amount of shares by buyback of its own shares. So how they are going to repay the amount? So they may go for an option for buyback of its own shares. Okay, so that is in case of shares. But in case of debenture, the amount of debenture must be returned according to the terms of issue. So I have told you it's like a contract. So what they have mentioned in the certificate, acknowledgement of debt. So in the same way, the repayment has to be made. But here it's not like that. So it is the option of the company. So here the company is having an option to return the amount of shares by buyback of its own shares. Next difference from the priority of payment of principal amount. So who is given more priority while paying the principal amount? In case of winding up, the payment of share capital is made after the repayment of debentures. Now, who is given more importance here? Debenture holders are given more importance. So, when the company is going to wind up, then who will be paid first? Debenture holders will be paid first. After that, the shareholders are being paid. So, in case of winding up, the payment of debentures is made before the payment of share capital. So, here first preference is given to the debenture holders, and after payment for debenture holders, if any amount is left, then the rest of the amount will be paid to the shareholders. Next one is unsecured or secured. So, a share is always unsecured, hence they bear more risk. Of course, when the company earns more profit, of course, the shareholders gets more rate of dividend. So, here the risk is also more. Higher the risk, higher will be the profit. And here debentures are usually secured. So, they are secured on what? They are secured on the assets of the company. So, I have told you always the assets of the company act as a security for the debenture holders. Suppose if the company does not pay the amount to the debenture holders, debenture holder has a right to take off the assets of the company as security, or they can go for the court. So, that is about your debenture. Debentures are usually secured on the assets of the company, hence they bear little risk. Where the risk is more in case of shares because they don't have a proper security. But here in case of debentures, there is a proper security and the risk is also less. Next one, a restriction on issue at discount. So let's see whether the shares can be issued at discount. So debentures, I have told you, they can be issued at discount. So that is zero coupon rate, correct? So they can be issued at discount. So under section 53 of the Companies Act 2013, shares cannot be issued at discount. So this you have to note here. So shares cannot be issued at discount except sweat equity shares. So you might have seen in a previous chapter, so we have not solved a problem where the shares can be issued at discount. So it clearly mentions as per Companies Act 2013, so here the shares cannot be issued at discount except sweat equity shares. But in case of debentures, there is no restrictions on issue of debentures at discount. So they can be issued at discount also. Next one is voting rights. So who will be having the voting rights? Shareholders will be having the voting rights because they are considered as what? Real owners of the business. So they appoint the or they select the board of directors. So they each and every shareholders have the voting rights in the company. So share confers on its holders the right to participate in and vote at company's meeting. So the board of directors will be selected by the shareholders through their votes. So shareholders has the voting rights and because they are the real owners of the business. But what about debentures? They are the creditors of the debenture holders are creditors of the company and they are not having any voting rights. A holder of debenture neither possess any voting right in the company's meeting nor to be participated in the meeting. But shareholders can participate in the meeting, they can vote and select the board of directors, but the debenture holders does not have any voting right as well as they are not eligible to attend the meeting also. So these are the few differences between shares and debentures. So in my next session, let us discuss about the journal entries. So how to record the journal entries when the debentures are issued at par, issued at premium and issued at discounts. So let us see what is this issued at par, premium and discount and what are the entries to be recorded under these different situations. So in today's session, we have learnt about, so what are the things we have learnt? Introduction, meaning as well as characteristics and difference between shares and debentures. So my dear students, hope you have understood today's session. See you all in my next session with a new topic. Till then, take care. Thank you.